The ultrasound showed a healthy baby. Perfect heartbeat, perfect size, perfect development. The doctor smiled and pointed at the screen. But the mother was not looking at the baby. She was looking at the corner of the ultrasound image. At the second pair of hands. The ones wrapped around her baby from the outside. The ones that did not belong to anyone in that room. Pregnancy is supposed to be a miracle. New life, new love, a connection between a mother and her child that begins long before the first breath is ever taken. But what happens when something else feels that connection too? What happens when something finds its way into that sacred space between a mother and her unborn child? And decides to stay. This is the story of Rachel Cole. And what grew inside her alongside her daughter. Rachel was 7 months pregnant when the dreams started. Not nightmares exactly. Just a feeling. Every night she would find herself standing in a long dark corridor, her stomach heavy, her feet bare on cold stone floor. And at the end of the corridor something stood in the shadows watching her. Not moving, not speaking, just watching. She told her husband Daniel it was just pregnancy anxiety. He agreed. Her doctor agreed. Everyone agreed. So she stopped mentioning it. At week 32 she started feeling a second set of movements. Not her daughter. She knew her daughter's movements by heart now. The little kicks on the left side. The rolling sensation after meals. The hiccups every evening at 7. This was different. Slower. Deliberate. Like fingers pressing from the inside. Methodical. Patient. Moving in patterns that felt less like a baby stretching and more like something searching for a way out. Her doctor found nothing unusual. One heartbeat. One baby. One perfectly healthy pregnancy. Rachel said nothing about the second movements after that. She learned to tell the difference between her daughter and the other thing. She learned to breathe through it when it pressed too hard. She learned to lie still at night and wait for it to stop. She told herself she was imagining it. She almost believed it. At week 35 Rachel woke at 3 a.m. to find she could not move. Not sleep paralysis. She was fully awake. She could blink. She could breathe. She could feel the sheets beneath her and the weight of her stomach and Daniel sleeping beside her. She just could not move. And then she felt it. Both sets of movements. Simultaneously. Her daughter on the left side rolling gently like she always did. And the other thing on the right side pressing hard against her ribs with those slow deliberate fingers. And then something she had never felt before. The two of them touching each other from the inside. Her daughter went completely still. And in the silence Rachel heard something she could not explain and has never been able to explain since. A sound from inside her own body. A whisper. Not her daughter's. Newborns cannot whisper. Cannot form words. Cannot communicate in any language that humans understand. But Rachel heard it clearly. 2 words. She's mine. Rachel went into labor 3 weeks early. The birth was long and difficult and at several points the doctors lost the baby's heartbeat entirely before it returned stronger than before, as if something had simply decided to let it continue. When her daughter finally came into the world she was perfect. Healthy. Beautiful. She cried immediately and the sound of it broke Rachel open with relief. The doctors placed her on Rachel's chest. Rachel looked down at her daughter's face. And her daughter looked back at her. With eyes that were too focused for a newborn. Too aware. Too calm. Like something that had been waiting a very long time and had finally arrived exactly where it intended to be. Rachel's daughter is 4 years old now. She is bright and funny and loving and by every measure a perfectly normal child. But sometimes at night Rachel stands in the doorway of her daughter's room and watches her sleep. And sometimes her daughter talks in her sleep. In a voice that is not quite hers. In words Rachel cannot make out. To someone Rachel cannot see. And sometimes Rachel presses her hand against her own stomach without thinking. The way you do when you are still carrying something. The way your body remembers a weight that should be gone. And sometimes she swears she can still feel it. Those slow deliberate fingers. Still searching. Doctors will tell you that phantom pregnancy sensations are common after birth. That the body takes time to forget what it carried. That the mind fills silence with memory. They will tell you there is a perfectly reasonable explanation for everything Rachel experienced. They will tell you the whisper was a dream. They will tell you the second movements were her imagination. They will tell you that what she saw in her daughter's eyes in that first moment was just a tired mother looking for something to be afraid of. Maybe they are right, but Rachel has never gone back to that doctor. And she has never told her daughter about the dreams. The corridor. The darkness. The figure at the end that never moved and never spoke. She has never described it to anyone in detail. So nobody has ever told her what her daughter drew in preschool last Tuesday. A long dark hallway. A pregnant woman standing in the middle of it. And at the end of the hallway in black crayon pressed so hard it tore through the paper. A figure. Watching. Some things do not leave when the baby comes. Some things were never there for the baby at all.